It looks like we are facing a dangerous move to the right. Dangerous in the sense that the predictions are that 1/3 of the European parliamentary seats will possibly go to the right-wing parties. It is possible that in France, Mrs. Le Pen of the right-wing party, National Rally, will have more votes possibly than the president, Mr. Macron, which is a very bad development for Europe, because Mr. Macron is one of the few politicians in Europe who is very much engaged into European Union and the European future. So if you look at the predictions of the elections which will start today in England, the United Kingdom Brexit Party is estimated to have 38% of the vote, which is an incredible amount of conservative Euro, anti-Euro people. You will also have in other countries of Europe, like in Spain, you have the right-wing Vox Party, which came from nothing to 10%. You have the Germans, who have more than 12%, even more than other European parties. But in each European party, you have right-wing parties moving up. So we don't know what will happen, but if of 750 seats in the European Parliament, 1/3 will go to right-wing parties or anti-European parties, you will have a situation which is not very good, because these, if they unite, which is not sure that they can, because they have differences in their relationship towards Moscow, they have different relationships with other parties. So, if they unite, they can block a lot of things. And they also set a tone. They set a tone because if you look at Italy, which is a very livable, very wonderful, active, cultural nation, which is now moving to the right, to the extent that if you look back in history, Mussolini, who was executed in April of 1945 by partisans, by freedom fighters, he was always adored and admired by neo-fascists, but they had no importance, not real importance in Italy. Now suddenly you have a party which is very much against immigration, and not only that, you have smaller parties, and the great-grandson of Mussolini is running for European elections. And I think these kind of indications are troubling and very dangerous. They gained their popularity with, first of all, they're populists. They promise a lot of things. They promise a higher pension. They promise a salary for each person, working or not working, a basic, they are proposing a lot of very attractive but not feasible projects. So the main projects, why they even came into existence in this part of our history, is migration. So there is this idea starting in Poland, which is a Catholic country, saying we want to remain a Christian country and we don't want any foreigners, regardless who they are. In Hungary, the same thing. The party of Viktor Orban has 49% of the vote, had 49% of the vote, and is a very right-wing government. On which arguments do they base their program? They argue only on immigration. So, and they argue on immigration, although the immigration flow from abroad, from Northern Africa, from other parts of Africa, has diminished. It has, in some areas, it has stopped. But if there is no immigration anymore, they have no arguments. And they are trying to use this old card of immigration over and over again. And the idea of the right-wing parties in Europe is not to leave Europe anymore. They were at one time debating, we don't want the euro anymore. We want back the lira, we want back the French franc, we want back the German mark, and we want to leave the European Union altogether. Now they have shifted. They have shifted in the sense that they're saying, we will change Europe within. We do a Europe of nations, whatever that means. Everybody has their own historic, how do you call it, nostalgia, like this great-grandson of Mussolini said the other day, oh, it was not that bad what my grandfather did. He did a lot of structural work, you know, like highways. It's the same argument of German nostalgia people who say, oh, the Führer, Adolf Hitler, he built the Autobahn, he did something. So they're living in a world which is not facing reality. Reality for Europe means to be united, because we are facing in the world today huge powers like China, we are facing India, we are facing countries which have a massive population and a massive influence. And what does a small country like Germany, 80 million people, or France, 60 million people, or whatever, what do they want to do by themselves against this gigantic globalization? They're living in a fata morgana, but the people like it because it's simple, and simplicity makes it easy to understand. The danger is starting with Mr. Trump in the United States, who has won his vote by dealing with people who were lost and didn't understand anything anymore. They were not the poorest, but they were often middle class or up the lower middle class white people who voted for him because he promised them a lot of make America great again, make America first again. Brexit, the people who voted for Brexit were also people who didn't understand anything anymore, and they were looking back to nostalgia and saying, oh, we like to have the United Kingdom like the Commonwealth power, we want to be great again, we want to be as great as Winston Churchill made us. And they are living also into a cloud cuckoo land. They have no idea what they are facing once they will go out of the European Union. What the Europeans have to do, they have to be less democratic. They have to understand that the use of slogans like make Germany great again, and so that's history. We're living in a different world. They have to be realistic. They have to have a social system which is not only just to the Germans, but to refugees, because the Germans as a nation in 1945 had millions of refugees to absorb, and other countries, Poland for example, had to deal with refugees, but that they deal today like there has never been any drama and any tragedy of refugees in Europe. The Germans were refugees, the Poles were refugees, there were refugees all over. And not to understand that we have to absorb, we have to help people who are in trouble, is being ignorant.